All right, everyone, welcome back. My name's Troy, and this is an Australian in Portugal. This is my first video back for a while. I had some other projects on, so my apologies, but bear with me. I'll be looking forward to posting a few videos up regularly from now on. Now, I thought I'd do something different. I thought on this channel, rather than just focusing on out and about in Portugal, also add an element of reacting to travel videos and immigration videos to Portugal, and I can add my own 2 cents. Now, there are a lot of older videos as well, and I'll concentrate on some fun ones, some travel advice ones, some itinerary ones, and hopefully I can value add onto the experience for you and give you some more information. Now, the first one I want to watch is Wolters World. He is a very regular YouTuber that I watch. I haven't actually seen this one, so it'll be interesting to see what he says. I watch a lot of his content for other wider parts of his travels. So let's get into it and yeah, see what see what tourist scams in Portugal there are. Let's learn together, hey?
Hey, fellow travelers, Mark with Wolters World, and today we're in Lisbon, Portugal, and today we're going to talk about are some of the scams that tourists have to deal with when they come here to Portugal. But I'll be honest with you, when
I'll
you come to
just turn it
Portugal,
up.
there's not a ton of scams you have to deal with because this is not a scammy society. It is not a scammy country. But there are some scams you should watch out for and some things that you might think are scams, but actually just the way they do business here. And that's why I'm going to start.
Yeah, I gotta say, Portugal's crime rate very, very low. Not a lot of scams, although you know you get flushed with marketeers as such from time to time during tourist events. And when I say marketeers, from all over Europe that maybe aren't as unsavory and trustworthy as you'd like, but they're not scams. They're just, you know. But let's keep going.
Off with this one first. And it's the idea that it's a scam, but it's not. It's just how business happens here. Is you go to restaurants and they already have like a plate of cheese down for you and some bread down for you and the olives down for you, maybe some ham. There's all those kind of things that if you're coming from the US and some other countries, oh, it's already in the plate, it must be free. And then you just dive right in and start eating it.
Yeah, this is not free. It is. I've encountered this all the time. Yeah, it's basically how they do it. They present the entrees onto the plate on a plate, so you can actually visually see them. Now, to me, the cost of living in Portugal is really good as far as a tourist goes. So if you go to a restaurant and you encounter the price of those goods, unless you're in a real tourist area, it's going to be negligible, really. A few euros for each item. I mean, you know, unless you're on a real budget, then yeah, don't eat it because you'll have to pay for the bread as well.
Well, here it's not a scam because once you get your menu and you open it up, you'll notice it has the prices for the cheese, for the bread, for the butter, for the sardine paste. So before you dive into things you think are free, look on the menu because I've seen a lot of upset tourists going, "What? I just spent 10 euros on these little things, and my actual meal is only 8 euros." Yes, it does happen. So just realize that it's not a scam; it's just the way how business is done. And another thing I think you need to realize is how business is done when you're looking at your menu is also whenever you're ordering fish. Now, not like usually like sardinias or robalo, dorado, not like those, but if you're buying fish, make sure you look over to the side and if it has a like slash 100 grams. Because some restaurants, they'll just sell you the fish and that's the price that's there. But some restaurants, depending on the type of fish it is, might sell it by the 100-gram unit. And it's not necessarily a scam, it's just that all of a sudden you think you're buying a $20 fish you actually got 3 kilos of fish and now it's 60 euros instead of 20. So
Okay, so I haven't come across this one where I'm located in the north of Portugal. Every fish meal that I have got has always been a big fish on a plate with sides. So um, it it'll generally say on the menu any like what you're getting. Like it will tell you like any menu around the world, the vegetables and stuff. I have never walked into a restaurant with the measurements he's talking about. That's not to say it doesn't exist. It might be more of a higher end focused seafood restaurant. So
So do be aware of that. It's not a lot of places that do it, but it's good to note. Another thing that's going to seem like a scam, but it's not really a scam, is when you rent a car and they offer you the Via Verde, and the Via Verde is basically the toll pass. And somebody's like, "Oh, I don't need that. You're overcharged me for that." Look, just get it because it'll make your life easier in case you're going to be driving around a lot in Portugal. So just to have it just makes your life easier. Though it seems like one of those other upsells. Oh, do you want full, insurance? You want the tires taken care of?
yeah, well, look, there's not so many tolls north of Porto, but tolls exist a lot around. There's a lot of toll roads basically, and especially toll road only access that you got to pay for. So to cut down on your travel times, I actually recommend getting the toll pass because it'll just be a lot less of a headache. Just get it because since there's toll only roads that you've got to pay just to access that point. It's the quickest, easiest route to get from place to place in some parts of Portugal. And if you're on holidays with limited travel time, it'll be definitely worth your while to maximize that time. So think of it that way: you're investing in your time. Obviously, if you're living here, that's a bit different, or you've got a nice casual month to spend touring at your leisure, then you can sort of go the more scenic routes and stuff and avoid the toll roads.
The accidental kidnapped by aliens insurance. It just seems like one of those add-ons, but that's one I would definitely get the Via Verde just so you can kind of skip over some of the lines. You have to wait in line to pay tolls. You just zip on right through. And if you don't get it and you don't pay, believe me, the car companies, the rail companies, they do find you and they find you to give you the like charge you for those tolls. Okay, so be aware of that. Now let's look at some act.
Most of the car companies I've dealt with, they'll just they take your credit card details for a reason, and over time, like you sign a document at the point of hiring it that you pay for tolls, so they will deduct that from your credit card, obviously because you've given them authorization for that. So they don't really even have to find you and send you a bill. It's you've already agreed to it.
Actual scams you're going to see when you're here. Look, if you're kind of like in the Ribera district in Porto, or if you're down the Algarve where there's a lot of people going on, like Albufeira, or you're here in Lisbon, the Baixa district, Barrio Alto, there's going to be guys that come up to you, and it's going to start innocuously, like, "Oh, do you need some sunglasses? No, no sunglasses. Oh, maybe you want some marijuana? Oh, no marijuana. How about hashish, cocaina?" And it's the hashish cocaine guys, and they will target tourists. Okay, male tourists and young tourists. That's what they target.
Never seen these guys. I've been all around those districts except for the Algarve, but that doesn't mean they're not there. It could just mean maybe when I was there, the police had already done a crackdown on it, uh, and they've just disappeared for a bit, and they come back during peak tourist season. I don't know. Yeah, probably not something to worry about. My advice, and he'll probably give you the same advice: just ignore people who come up to you and try and sell you things. They're not value adding onto your holiday, basically, because you can go. You're there to go and explore all the tour districts. Just stick to what was in your head. Okay, don't think they're going to lure you to some secret unknown destination that you've got to jump on for a cultural experience. That's all I'm saying, because that doesn't really exist.
They don't target the locals. It's just the tourists that are there. They're not selling the real deal. That's a scam in itself. But it does get a little annoying. I would say don't like initiate with them. So do be careful with that. Another scam about people coming up to talk to you. And this is one that's really taken off the last few years because so many more tourists are coming here. You have the kind of lost tourist or the down on their luck tourist. Yeah, they'll come up to you like, "Oh, do you speak English?" Or my personal favorite, they come up to me in perfect English. "Do you speak French?" So then, they can be like, "Oh, j'ai un problème." They can be like, "Oh, I'm French. I've been robbed and I don't have any way to get home back to Paris or Lyon." Like, they'll have a really good story for you. But the thing is, it's total BS. They're doing that to you to get 20, 30 euros for them. So you get that
Yeah, there.
EasyJet ticket home or the Ryanair ticket home or the train home.
Yeah, there are those scams. They're all over. Europe. I mean, they're everywhere. Like, you get them in any country, really. It's not just Portugal specific. As I said, just ignore people who come up to you. Um, Very rarely do homeless people and stuff, you know, talk like that. So play the odds.
And it's all BS. Like, if you want to help them out, they're like, okay, let's go on EasyJet.com and get your flight home. All right. And if they're like, no, no, that's okay, you know it's total BS. I mean, I'm back here in Lisbon, and this is, it's been a few years since I've been here, since before the pandemic. And honestly, I saw the same person do the same thing. She's from South Africa. She has South African money in her hand, going, "Oh, I South Africa, I just can't get back on." I mean, you just feel sorry for them. It turns out they're still here doing the same scam, And so be careful with that, because there are people that do that and kind of prey on the goodwill of tourists. So you're getting scammed because you're a good person. So I guess that's a good thing. No, no.
If you want a good idea of scams of Europe, of what to look out for, I'm going to plug another channel here, the Honest Guides. They are their focus is Prague, but they do a lot of other things around Europe as well. And yeah, some of it is really eye-opening, but it gives you a better idea on ways to be prepared if you're a traveler.
Another thing I see a lot of here is the conversion when you pay with credit.
I'll leave a link to their channel as well in the comments or in the description, just so you can watch them. I don't mind plugging other channels.
Cards or the conversion when you go to ATMs. Now, yeah, Euronet, I mean, those ATMs, they're not a scam. It's just they're not doing the best, I feel, for your financial future by using them. But anytime you use a credit card and you're going to a restaurant, a lot of times it'll automatically ask you, oh, if your bank account is in US dollars, it'll ask, oh, do you want us to charge it in US dollars or euros? Or if you've got British pounds account, would you like us to charge it in British pounds or euros? Do not take the conversion. Take the charge in the euro here, because then there's that, and let your bank back home deal with the exchange rate, because your bank is probably going to have your best interest in heart more than some random kiosk. And I'm going to tell you, I've talked to some of the kiosk owners around here in Lisbon and Evra. They didn't realize that the exchange rates on there are not very good, so they actually aren't making the money on it. They're just getting paid their like €5 for the beer and
Okay, this is one area if you're budget conscious and you're very much trying to maximize your dollar. Do your research at your bank, because a lot of banks these days, and I had one when I was in Australia, and a bank account and a credit card that if you spent over a certain amount, you got free international transactions, and you could just use your card wherever you went, and it was free. They just didn't charge you. Okay, so they would keep refunding, and obviously, if you took money out of the ATM at a international location, you're subject to the specific ATM fees for that location. But if you're just paying by credit card, it was free. Look at your local bank, see if they've got deals like that. You might be able to set one up, because look, let's be frank, most of you would be planning this and watching these videos well in advance before your holiday. It's not something you're doing a week before you leave. So if you're a couple of months out or 6 months out even, go to your bank, check it out, and see what options they have for your credit cards, because you might be able to change to a better rate, better deal that gives you those free international charges. I can't recommend it highly enough. The bank I used, if you're Australian, was Commonwealth Bank. They had a specific card for that, and it worked well.
and sandwich you get, and they someone else is making money off of it. So that's one thing I would just say is be careful with any of those conversions. Say no, no, thank you. Charge me in euros. Another kind of new scam I've seen, and this is one that's come up here. I've seen a lot in Lisbon. Is since there's so many tourists, a lot of places have kind of popped up, and they're kind of assimilating a lot of other foods from Europe and saying it's traditional Portuguese. I've seen a few places that have said that paella is a traditional Portuguese restaurant, and we have picanha and paella and patatas bravas. I'm like, well, picanha is from Brazil, paella and patatas bravas from Spain. And it's not necessarily a scam. It's just realized if anyone's saying it's traditional Portuguese food, you're like, wait, I thought that was from someplace else. It might have been. I mean, this is one thing that's kind of growing little by little. I mean, you can eat the paella, you can eat the patatas.
I disagree. It is a blatant scam on this one. He's being nice, I think. The ignorant restaurant owner, I'm sorry, they're deliberately targeting tourists. They're probably in a tourist district. They're trying to compete for traffic. So they're just outright saying their menu is traditional Portuguese, trying to get those in. Um, Look, if you're, this is where another area, do your research. Go eat where the locals eat. That is the best advice I can give you if you're looking for restaurants, because get out of the tourist districts basically because they're expensive. The food quality is average, and as just stated here, they'll just outright lie to you. So, yeah, yeah. Honestly, I think he's just being generous there. Yeah, if you go to the local restaurant districts away from the tourist area, you will find that there will be restaurants catering lots of traditional Portuguese food because they don't, while they deal in a lot of other European fare like Italian and uh, seafood and French and other things, a lot of their restaurants are still very Portuguese based. So you'll be able to go and experience traditional Portuguese food. Just be wary. Yeah, but do your research.
Robert, this is not a problem, but I just don't want you to think that it's traditional Portuguese paella because we don't do traditional Portuguese paella. We have arroz con marisco, which is rice with shellfish. Okay. Now, something that's not a scam, but people get freaked out here is they see wine and they see wine on tap and they think, oh, that must be the cheap stuff. They're trying to scam me with that instead of giving me bottled wine. Now, if you're in Portugal and you're getting wine from the tap, it's totally fine. It'll be good and it'll be affordable, so you're gonna be all right. So don't think that's a scam.
He's 100% correct here. The wine industry in the last decade has really grown leaps and bounds. Even the wine in the casks are 100% better. Like it's just as good out of the cask as the bottles these days. Maybe not 100%, but okay, you're not going to be disappointed. And I even challenge you, go to your local supermarket when you're in town, when you're in Portugal, go to the supermarket, pick up the $2 bottle of wine on special, and you will not be disappointed. It'll be every bit as good as a $20 a bottle of wine back home. Uh, no, no question.
And the thing is, anywhere you go in Portugal, they have a livro de reclamações, which is a like complaint book. So if there is an issue, you can ask for the book and sign your complaint in there. It's actually kind of a serious thing for them. So you do have a way to, reclamar when you are here, like complain about stuff. So you have that. And of course, I mean, Lisbon, Porto, Algarve, they're all popular tourist places. So of course, you have the usual tourist scams. You have the guys that are playing the three-card Monte kind of things you see anywhere around the world. Taxis in general are pretty okay, but you do want to pay attention. Put your directions and your Google Maps and follow yourself to make sure they're going the right way. If you're in the Baixa district, you'll probably see guys laying out big carpets that put all kinds of bags on there.
Okay, just with the taxis, I, the thing with Porto and Lisbon is some of the streets are just not that accessible. They're very busy. They're very thin, and so they might take you out of the way to go faster around. Okay, so don't just assume because you veered off your direction map that they're not taking you a faster route to get to the certain place that you're going. So yeah, they're not the most drivable cities, uh, I should say. So because if you're renting a car, I would say pick it up from a place near the outskirts of a city, so you can just get in and out and go straight out into the freeways.
Of course, those are scams. Those aren't real Gucci's. Those are not real, Prada bags. They are knockoffs. Okay, so
They're everywhere in the world, around tourist districts. Just beware of that. Shop cautiously. Buy them if you want
be
to, I
aware of
guess.
that. I mean, but if you're cool with knockoffs, it's totally fine. But I'm just letting you know that it's not a real Gucci. And when you're in restaurants, sometimes they might add an extra item that you didn't see or you didn't order, or they might, forget some change or on there. I mean, things that you have everywhere around the world when you go to tourist destinations. You just got to pay attention to that. I mean, I'm leaving off a lot of stuff here because we have videos that go through the biggest scams in Europe, the biggest tourist scams around the world that'll help you out with that. I just want to kind of focus on ones that were more popular here in Portugal, so you're better prepared to enjoy this fantastic country. And honestly, I'm going to guess you'll probably only deal with the hashish cocaine guy when you are here. Otherwise, you're going to have
Okay, we're basically at the end of the video. Portugal is a very relaxed country. Majority of the citizens are very nice people. They will go out of their way to help you, so you don't need to worry about crimes. And yeah, it's just not a crime country. You ask the citizens. There are, when I say there isn't, if you go to certain parts of Porto and Lisbon, you've probably got to be careful. But around the tourist districts, a lot of countries take great pride in their tourism, and Portugal's no different, because the last thing they want is people getting scammed and crime happening in general, and then people stop coming because you know Portugal is only a small country. They're not going to want you to be giving a bad word to your experience to people back home and encouraging them to go elsewhere. You're not going to have a problem in Portugal. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. All right, hope this has been of some help, giving you a bit more confidence. And yeah, do your research before you go. That's all my advice, because yeah, it'll help you in the long run. All right, have a great day.